Hi, in this video I will show you how to install the IMX Mobile Proxy system as a virtual image using VMware. The same procedure applies to hardware installations, so just follow the same instructions if you are installing with a DVD media and your own server. In VMware, I will click on the Create a New Virtual Machine button. Alternatively, you can find the same option under the File menu in VMware. In the first screen, just select the typical settings and click Next. For the installation media, we can either select a physical DVD drive containing our mobile proxy media, or just browse for the ISO file that you have downloaded previously. Since I have the ISO file in my hard drive, I will just do that. In the next screen, we need to select the guest operating system. Since this is the ISO file for the 32-bit version of the mobile proxy, I need to select Linux and CentOS. If I had the 64-bit version for the ISO file, I would have to select CentOS 64-bit from the list. We then click Next to proceed. Next, we need to give a name for our image. I will just enter Mobile Proxy and click Next. For the virtual hard drive, VMware will give a default of 20 GB. That is good enough for Mobile Proxy. In the last screen, we have a chance to customize the virtual hardware settings to our needs. Since I have a CPU with 8 cores, I will reserve 4 of them to my image. I will also change the network adapter to work in bridged mode instead of NAT, so my network router can assign an IP address to my mobile proxy system and it will also be visible in my local network. I could also increase the memory size, but 1 GB is good enough for mobile proxy. Make sure to leave the checkbox to automatically power the virtual machine after creation. We then click Finish and VMware will start installing the operating system. The first screen that we see is the boot manager for the mobile proxy system. We need to use the option Install using Kickstart. We can wait for the 60 seconds to elapse, or simply press Enter to start the installation. Then we have to select the appropriate time zone for the mobile proxy system. To navigate through the different parts of the screen, you can use the Tab key, then use the up and down keys or page up and page down keys to select the desired time zone. In my case, I will select Australia Melbourne and then press the Tab key again so the OK button is highlighted and then press Enter to confirm. It is very important to notice that the mobile proxy installation we use and format the first hard drive that it finds in the system. So if you're doing this installation using a real server rather than a virtual machine, make sure that you back up everything before you start. The rest of the installation process will take about 5 minutes. When the installation is finished, you'll have to reboot your new image. Just press Enter and it will restart the server. After the operating system is loaded, your IMX Mobile Proxy will be ready for use. The initial screen will show the IP address for the mobile proxy server. We can now open the browser and go to the same address to configure our mobile proxy. We enter the new IP address of the proxy in the browser, then we log in with the default username, administrator. The default password is admin. In the first screen, we click the initial install link to initiate the configuration for the proxy. In the next screen of the initial install wizard, we can change the date and time of the server. It is recommended to activate the network time protocol service so the server clock is always synchronized correctly. Click on the apply button whenever you make any changes. We then click next in order to proceed to the next step. Every mobile proxy installation comes with a personal key that needs to be sent to eTellicom in order to license the server. You can send a license request right from this form. Just enter your details in the fields and click on the Send Request button, and the proxy will send an email to eTellicom with your request details. Alternatively, you can click on the Generate button to create a license request file, and then you can email that file to eTellicom along with your license order. Without a valid license, the proxy will still work, but in a trial or demo mode. In that mode, the proxy will accept only a maximum of 2 simultaneous connections. Also, every client will remain connected for only 5 minutes and then can only reconnect 10 minutes after the disconnection time. We will click Next to leave the proxy in trial mode, or to load a license file in the next step if we already have one. If we already have a license file, we can just click on the Browse button and load the license file here. Then click the Apply button to save the changes. We will proceed in trial mode, so we just click Next. In the next step, we need to tell the proxy how to connect to VSL running in the PBX system. We just have to enter the IP address of the Siemens HighPath OpenScape, OpenBusiness or IMX IP PBX. For demonstration purpose, I will enter the IP address of my IMX system. The VSL port is usually 8779. We then click Apply to save the changes. Then we click Next to go to the next step. Now we need to create the Certificate Authority, or CA for short, for the proxy server. This will also generate the server certificate that is used to authenticate the client certificates that we will need to create in the next step. We need to enter a meaningful description for the common name field, for example Mobile Proxy CA. The alternative name is optional, but it is a good idea to enter a domain name here if your company have one. Also, enter the company name in the organization name field. We then have to enter the number of days for the expiration for this certificate. I will use 10 years. We then click on the Generate button, so the CA certificate will be created. Then click Apply to save the changes. We then click Next in order to proceed to the next step. In the final screen, the proxy will connect to the PBX to retrieve a list of all available users. Here, we can create the client certificates that will be using the proxy to connect to the PBX. We can click on the Add link to create a certificate for individual users. The proxy will then change the list to display the information for the new certificate. Notice that the client certificates also need a number of days for expiration. It is also possible to select or unselect all the listed users in order to generate multiple certificates with a single step. If we would like to skip a few users, for example, we can just select or unselect them individually in the list. We then click on the Create New button, so all the selected users will have their certificates created. The certificate deployment happens automatically when the user connects with the IMX Mobile Client application in the same network that the proxy is running. It is also possible to download the certificate and deploy it manually to the user device for the case of external device that cannot connect to the same network of the proxy. To revoke a certificate, simply click on the delete link. Now that we are done, we click Finish to exit the initial install wizard. Now it's also a good time to change the default password for the administrator user. To do that, click on the security menu at the top and then select Administrators. Enter your new password twice in the fields, then click Apply to confirm the changes. When the mobile proxy server is installed, it is set to use an IP address from the DHCP server from the local network. We need the proxy server to always use a static IP address instead. One way to do that is to reserve a specific IP address for the MAC address of the proxy in the DHCP server. The other way is to go directly to the network settings of the proxy and enter the static IP address there. We do that by going to the network menu and then clicking on LAN cards. Click Edit on the network interface and then enter the reserved IP address of your choice. Make sure to also enter your gateway and the respective DNS servers. Click Apply when you are done. It may take a couple of minutes until the proxy is ready to be used with the new IP address. This completes the configuration for the proxy. You should also forward the TCP port 8780 from your router to the proxy server, so external IMX mobile clients can connect to the proxy. Thanks for watching.